Your brain never shows you truth. It shows you whatever once helped your genes survive. Why Buddhism is True by Wright. Audiobook summary and review by Story Shots. Your brain is not your friend. It was never built to make you happy or show you reality as it is. It was built to get your genes into the next generation, and it lies to you all day to make that happen. Wright, a science journalist with a long background in evolutionary psychology, tested this claim against Buddhist teaching and meditation practice, and the result is Why Buddhism is True. This summary walks through 8 ideas that will change how you think about your feelings, your sense of self, and what meditation actually does to a mind. Who is this for? This is for the person who feels chronically dissatisfied even when life looks fine on paper, the one who gets the promotion and feels the thrill fade in a week. It is for skeptics who dismiss meditation as vague comfort but respect biology and evidence. Why Buddhism is True speaks directly to anyone who has tried mindfulness apps and wants the mechanism behind them, not just the marketing. About the author. Wright is a journalist known for applying evolutionary psychology to big human questions, previously in books like The Moral Animal. What sets this book apart from typical meditation guides is that Wright approaches Buddhism as a skeptic first, testing its claims against biology rather than asking readers to take them on faith. He writes from his own experience as a meditator, which grounds the theory in lived, sometimes awkward, personal practice. The happiness trap built into your genes. You got the job. You felt great for 4 days. Then the feeling evaporated, and you started scanning for the next thing to want. Pleasure is built to fade fast, so the letdown pushes you to chase the next reward. Natural selection doesn't care if you are content. It cares if you reproduce and survive long enough to raise offspring who do the same. This is the first noble truth in scientific language. Dukkha, often translated as suffering, but better understood as a low hum of dissatisfaction running under everything. Layer on tanha, or craving, and the equation gets simple. Living means craving, and craving means dissatisfaction. What this means for you today is that the itch to check your phone or plan the next purchase is not a personal flaw. It is the operating system. Your cravings are not measuring what will make you happy. They are measuring what once helped your ancestors survive. That raises an obvious question. If we are stuck on this treadmill by design, why can we not just decide to stop running? Why you cannot just think your way out. Knowing you are on a hedonic treadmill does not get you off it. You cannot resolve to want less and have that resolution hold. Something deeper clouds the picture. Our understanding of ourselves and the world is clouded by subtle illusions we cannot see past just by trying harder. Feelings do not present themselves as biased evolutionary signals. They present themselves as truth. A craving feels like an accurate readout of what matters, not a suggestion from an ancient survival algorithm. 2 diagnostic tools do the work here. Anatta, the idea that the self is not what you think it is, and the broader claim that reality lacks the fixed essences we assign to it. Both sound abstract on first contact, and neither yet explains how you actually catch an illusion forming in real time. Willpower fails here for a simple reason. You cannot out-argue a feeling that has convinced you it is the truth. The framework names the illusions, but it doesn't yet explain how to catch one happening as it happens. The self that is not running the show. Notice the next time you get annoyed in traffic and ask who decided to be annoyed. It will feel like you did, instantly and on purpose. That feeling itself is the illusion. The self you picture as a single decision-maker sitting behind your eyes, the CEO running the show, does not hold up under examination. The mind works more like competing modules, each pushing its own agenda, with no boss coordinating them. Whichever module is loudest in the moment wins, and afterward your brain builds a tidy story explaining why you chose it. Split-brain experiments show this storytelling directly. One hemisphere invents a plausible explanation for behavior it did not actually initiate. Meditation makes this stranger still. Long-term practitioners describe watching thoughts arrive rather than generating them, noticing that the conscious mind does not create thoughts so much as receive them already formed. That raises a question the next idea has to answer. If no one is really in charge, what happens the moment you actually try to watch a feeling instead of obeying it? The conscious self does not write your thoughts. It just opens the mail after they arrive. The moment everything reframes. Sit still for 2 minutes and watch anger arrive without acting on it. Something strange happens. The anger gets smaller just from being watched. This is the payoff that makes sense of everything before it. Feelings are not lies you need to defeat. They are outdated software still running old code, tuned for a world of scarcity and threat that mostly no longer exists. The fix is not to silence them or win an argument against them. The fix is to watch them closely enough that their grip loosens on its own. Accepting an unpleasant feeling can create a critical distance from it that quietly drains its power. You do not fight the craving. You get close enough to see it clearly, and clarity itself does the work. This reframes dukkha, anatta, and the modular mind all at once. Suffering is not a personal failing. The self is not a fixed CEO, and feelings are not commands. They are proposals from evolutionary modules that lose authority the instant you stop automatically ratifying them. Happiness comes down to choosing between the discomfort of becoming aware of your mental afflictions and the discomfort of being ruled by them. Think about the last time a strong emotion took over completely. Did you experience it as something you chose, or as something that simply arrived and swept you along? If the first half of this summary shifted how you see your own mind, someone in your life is probably fighting the same battle with their thoughts right now. Turning down the emotional volume through meditation. This is the practical heart of the framework, and it starts simply. You sit still and watch a feeling instead of obeying it. Mindfulness meditation trains you to recognize a feeling, whether anger, craving, or anxiety, before you have already acted on it. The technique goes by the acronym RAIN. Recognize the feeling. Accept it instead of pushing it away. Investigate how it shows up in the body. Finally reach non-identification, meaning you stop treating the feeling as part of your core self. Take the sound of construction outside a window. Instead of tuning it out or getting irritated, try hearing the sound itself, stripped of the label annoying. The sound alone turns out to be just sound, neutral, and the judgment was something your mind stapled on. The action for today is this. The next time an uncomfortable feeling shows up, name it silently instead of reacting to it. You do not have to win the argument with a craving. You just have to stop mistaking it for an order. This works most of the time, but plenty of people try it and quit within a month, convinced it failed them. The mistake of treating feelings as enemies. People new to meditation often assume the goal is to shut feelings off entirely, to become a calm, blank statue. That is not the aim, and chasing it usually backfires. Feelings are not the villain. They evolved to label the importance of thoughts, flagging which ones deserve attention. The real problem is that some feelings are miscalibrated for modern life, still tuned to a world of scarcity most readers no longer live in. The goal is giving the calm passions more power and the violent passions less, not extinguishing emotion altogether. Someone who tries to meditate their way into feeling nothing usually quits within weeks, disappointed that boredom never resolved into bliss. Stop treating calm as the goal. Treat clarity as the goal instead. Meditation is not an off switch for emotion. It is a volume dial you finally get to hold. That reframes the whole practice, but it leaves open what you are actually seeing once the noise quiets down. Seeing through the illusion of fixed essence. Picture tasting a glass of wine. Most of what you taste is not the wine. It is the story your brain built around it, the label, the price, the mood in the room. This is the idea of emptiness, easy to misread as nihilism, the claim that nothing exists. That is not it. The claim is narrower. Things lack inherent, built-in essence. The specialness of a person, the badness of a sound, the allure of a wine are not properties inside the object. They are projections layered on top of raw sensation, built from memory, emotion, and evolutionary habit. Your brain tags nearly everything as good or bad automatically, because that labeling once helped your ancestors decide fast whether to approach or flee. Practiced meditators describe moments where this labeling briefly falls away, and a sound or a stranger's face is experienced without the usual emotional tag attached. It does not feel like nothing. It feels like more information, sensation without the editorial. Ask, the next time something strikes you as obviously annoying or wonderful, what part of that judgment came from the thing itself? Nothing you encounter today carries meaning built in. Your mind is stapling the meaning on as you go. That idea, that meaning is added rather than found, is what turns private clarity into something with consequences outside your own head. The claim that meditation could change civilization. Here is the biggest claim in the whole argument, and it moves past your own head entirely. Mass mindfulness, practiced widely enough, could shift how entire societies treat each other. The mechanism scales the same way it works for one person. If meditation lets you see your own cravings and tribal impulses as constructions, rather than truths, the same practice, spread across enough people, could loosen the grip of us versus them thinking that drives war and political tribalism. This is not a claim about everyone becoming a monk. It is a claim that enough people gaining distance from their own hostile impulses could make shared problems, the kind that require cooperation across group lines, solvable instead of permanently deadlocked. This is also the most contested idea in the book, because it leaps from individual psychology to civilization-level change. Nobody has run that experiment at scale, and skeptics reasonably ask whether calmer individuals actually add up to a calmer species. The tribal hatred-fueling wars runs on the exact same illusion of fixed essence that makes a stranger's face look permanently threatening instead of just a face. If the idea that your own mind might be quietly shaping the fate of collective conflict grabbed you, pass this along. Someone you know is fighting the same tribal reflexes without knowing there is a name for them. Implementation Guide. Start today by sitting for 5 minutes and naming your breath, counting each exhale up to 10 before starting over, to get the feel of watching the mind instead of steering it. The next time a strong craving hits, whether it is your phone, food, or an argument you want to win, Pause and run the rain sequence silently. Pick one recurring irritation this week, a sound, a commute, a coworker's habit, and practice observing it without the automatic label of annoying, noticing how much of the irritation your mind added. When you catch yourself building a tidy explanation for why you did something, ask honestly whether that story came before the action or after it. Treat boredom during any of this as information, not failure, since early meditation is supposed to feel uneventful. Review and criticism. The evidence offered for a coming metacognitive revolution through mass mindfulness is far more speculative than the tightly argued neuroscience earlier in the book, and the jump from personal insight to global salvation feels like a stretch. We rate it 4.2 out of 5. Final summary. Across these 8 ideas, a single argument builds from start to finish. Evolution wired you for craving, not contentment, and that craving runs on illusions about a fixed self and a world full of fixed essences. Illusions that meditation can expose and loosen. This summary of why Buddhism is true moves from the trap of fading pleasure through the modular mind that only feels unified into the midpoint reframe that feelings lose power the moment you watch them closely, and out through the mechanics of rain, the mistake of chasing blankness instead of clarity, the illusion of built-in meaning, and finally the claim that mass mindfulness could reshape whole societies. Which of these 8 ideas will you actually test this week? The rain technique, or questioning one story you have been telling about yourself? There is more waiting in the full book, including Robert Wright's account of his own awkward, funny, and occasionally profound meditation retreats, and his deeper case for why emptiness is not the nihilism it sounds like. Readers who want the full philosophical grounding, not just the mental tools, will want the complete text for that part of the argument. If any of this made you rethink your own mind, open the Story Shots app and look up the summary of why Buddhism is true for the complete picture.